Hey guys, and welcome to my channel, Time is But a Window. Now in today's video, I'm going to be telling you the story of my first LAN tournament. Now this was just after the events of putting together Team Cut, the team that I put together with Fawn, and we won every single league. So after winning all the leagues, we got moved up to the main league. But remember, because of how dominant we were getting attention from all sorts of pro teams. And because of that, our team became a pretty hot commodity and top-level players wanted to join it. So during the off-season, the roster pretty much tripled, bringing in a bunch of top-level talent. Little did I know what this would mean for me. You see, at the time, all the biggest major tournaments were happening in Dallas, Texas, and I was living in Florida. Meanwhile, Fawn had recruited a bunch of top-level players living in Texas or nearby. So it was a shock to me after we won the preseason game and I top-fragged that all of a sudden I was cut from the roster. This made speculation and rumors flare. Now, I was already getting a lot of callouts from the prior season. People thought I was wall hacking, especially because of my mid picks on DDoS 2. So you can imagine how much worse things got for me. On top of that, my friend Vlad had also been cut from the roster. He was also living in Florida at the time and would not be able to attend the LANs as easily. So Vlad and I found ourselves back at square one, figuring out we were going to put together another team. One thing we knew is that if we did put together another team, we were going to have to win some LAN tournaments. After all, right now people only saw us as two incredibly talented or possibly cheating onliners. Well, that made it a little bit more difficult than just simply going to find Ringer and MRC. Now, luckily for me, Vlad was a little bit better at networking. He was also still in high school and was able to recruit 3 players in about a week's time. Now, I'm not gonna lie, after the season with Cut, I was a very cocky player at this time. I felt like I could take any team and win a tournament with them. But only time would tell if this was just arrogance. Now, the players that we picked up were pretty new at the game, and none of them had any prior league experience. Now, the 3 new players were Aaron, Ryan, and Ganji. And to start things off, Vlad arranged for us all to go to Ryan's house and have an overnight LAN at his house. Now, upon meeting them, I was completely shocked. Now, it turns out I already knew Aaron because I had tried out for his metal band. He was the bass player of the band and they were looking for a lead singer. Don't judge me. Now, sadly, I did not pass the audition and did not become their lead singer. But he was not the only one I recognized. There was also Ganji. Now, Ganji, or who I called DJ, I knew back from middle school. Now, I'm not going to say that we were close, but we sat next to each other in English class in 8th grade. The third player was Ryan, and while I didn't know him from any previous happenstance, I came to find out that he was the high school baseball star. If nothing else, that should mean he knows about teamwork, right? Before we knew it, we had set up our CRTs and computers. At the time, I was still using a Funk Pad with a wheel mouse optical. And you can imagine how difficult it was to lug around CRT monitors. So once we got set up, we started playing some pugs. Now, Aaron and Ryan weren't the best Counter-Strike players, but DJ caught me by surprise. It was like getting a new computer and finding out that it was already amazing out of the box. With a couple tweaks, he could be incredible. After having a good night of playing pugs, everyone decided to go to sleep. Well, everyone except for Vlad and myself. You see, having all those computers in one room, especially in Florida, made that room incredibly hot. And while Ryan went to bed in his room and the other 2 went to the couches and took those up, Vlad and I didn't really have a place to sleep. So Vlad decided to suck it up, curl into a ball, and try to go to sleep near the side of the wall. Now, while that might work out for Vlad, I knew that there was no way in hell I'd be able to fall asleep that way. So I loaded up in my Explorer and decided I'd just drive home for the night. The problem is, the neighborhood didn't want me to leave. To make things worse, my radio and CD player were broken. I couldn't lower the volume, and I only had 1 CD in there, and it would only play 1 track from that CD. That track was Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. I swear, I thought I was in some sort of Twilight Zone episode doomed to drive until I starved to death. I was going absolutely mad, screaming the lyrics of the songs at the top of my lungs when the sun began to rise. With the sun up, I could now see a lot more clearly and realized the neighborhood had a fake tree line that was covering up the exit. You wouldn't believe how relieved I felt as I found my way out of it and onto the main road. With the first meeting going well, we decided to continue practicing online and went over our goals for the team. Luckily, everyone was pretty much on the same page about winning the LAN tournament that was coming in about 2 weeks. Given that Ryan and Aaron weren't as talented as the rest of the players on the team, we made them the support players. Meanwhile, I took some extra time to get to know DJ and talk to him about the importance of having a good mouse. Basically at the time, mice were complete total shit, and some of them had prediction correction on them while others had freedom of pure movement but didn't have very high tracking speeds. So I pretty much set him up the same way I was set up, with a funk pad and a wheel mouse optical, and had him lower his sensitivity to a more manageable sense. With everyone on the same page, we really didn't have too many issues getting our team to start winning. Obviously, I learned a lot from playing with Cut and took a lot of the tactics and strategies I learned playing with them. And it didn't hurt that we had two incredibly good entry fraggers with Vlad and DJ. Before we knew it, it was already time for the LAN event. This would be one of my biggest tests. I had to win this tournament. If I didn't, I would lose all credibility and everyone would think I was cheating the entire time. The morning of the tournament, I got up and took my dog for a walk. I could already feel the nerves. It felt like so much was riding on this. Now, this was not a BYOC tournament. This meant you didn't bring your own computer. They already had computers set up for the tournament area and you weren't allowed to bring any computers to warm up on. LAN tournaments at this time were pretty small, but this was a pretty good turnout. It was a 12-team double elimination tournament, and everyone knew who I was because of my prior experience with Cut. It felt like I was kind of a celebrity, but it also made me a target. Everyone wanted to beat me. A couple people even showed up to the tournament to just watch me play because they were so sure I was cheating online. I was so nervous when the first game started. To make things worse, we were having network issues and everyone on our first LAN server had 60 ping. A rival player approached me and said that he would beat the shit out of me if I didn't play well because that proved that I cheated online. Now, our first match was on Aztec, and luckily we were able to barely squeak by the pistol round. On the anti-eco round, I called out a deviation on our standard anti-eco setup. I forced up an AK-47 instead of going with an MP5 and went down towards water and picked a guy over towards stairs. Meanwhile, I had DJ watching my bridge to make sure no one approached from behind while Vlad went and did the entry frags out the main double door. I shot two more guys in the head with the AK as I made my way up from the water. This really standardized the momentum for the game as we ended up winning 13-1. Not only that, this game took away any fear I had for the rest of the tournament. There was another team that was flying through teams just as easily as us, and when we played against them, we found a way to overcome them, beating them 13-6. It was at this point I really took note of them, as their team leader came over to us and vowed to destroy us in the finals. The rest of the tournament was a breeze as we just annihilated team after team, playing against the second best team once again in the finals, this time on D Inferno. The best part about this team is even though we didn't have the most skilled players on it, they were all very controlled and they all understood their roles and how I wanted them to play. There was no real egos and everyone was doing the right thing to win the round rather than the right thing to make the cool play or make themselves look good. Because of this, our organization was just on another level from the team we were playing against, which had a lot of good players with high egos that were conflicting with each other. We ended up breezing through it, winning the grand finals with a scoreline of 13-6. Victory was ours. It was at this time when they were talking about who was the MVP of the tournament when I started to think about what Fawn told me. Back when I was on Cut and I wasn't able to go to the tournaments in Texas, Fawn told me that everyone sucks at their very first LAN tournament, that no one ever wins their first LAN. Not only had I won my first LAN, I was getting handed the MVP award. This was because I averaged the highest amount of kills per match. I won the award with an average of 24 kills per match, whereas the second place finisher had 18 kills per match. And his name was Fozzie. This came with a gift card for Best Buy as well as a new computer, on top of the winnings that we split for winning the tournament. All in all, it was a very successful first tournament, but this was only the beginning of LAN tournaments for me. Now, given the timing, after this event, Aaron and Ryan went off to college and I was never able to play with them again. So I would need to put together a new team for the next tournament. But that's a whole nother story. Anyways guys, that's it for this video. If you'd like to hear more of these stories in the future, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, have a great day.